His name was Edric, and he had been king for 11 days. The council had gathered 3 times since the burial, and each time Edric had sat at the head of the long table and listened to men twice his age debate the movements of an enemy army. He nodded at the right moments and asked no questions that revealed the full depth of what he did not know. At night, he lay awake and counted the days his grandfather had ruled. 41 years. The armor was kept in the lower crypts, beneath the main vault, in a chamber that did not appear on any administrative record. His grandfather had placed it there himself, near the end. Nobody had told Edric this. He had found the chamber by following a passage he had no reason to walk. He stood before the armor for a long time before he touched it. It was heavier than expected. The chest plate alone required both hands to lift, and when he finally buckled it into place, the weight settled onto him like a decision. To remain upright, he had to pull his spine straight. He had to set his feet wider than felt natural. He had to breathe differently. The armor would not permit slouching. It was not built for a man who doubted. He wore it to the next council. The generals went quiet when he entered. He did not explain. He took his seat, carefully, deliberately, the way the armor required it, and waited for the room to resume. When he spoke, he found that the voice the armor expected was not the voice he usually used. He spoke more slowly, let each sentence finish before the next one began. He was not performing his grandfather. He was performing the weight, and no one questioned it. The campaign lasted 13 months. He wore the armor at every formal address, every troop review, every negotiation conducted in the field. He did not wear it in his tent at night, but by the 6th month, he had stopped needing to. The way it required him to stand had become, in its absence, the way he stood. He stopped rehearsing what he would say before council sessions. He stopped running the worst outcomes through his mind in the hours before dawn. He did not notice when this happened. It was not a decision. It was a consequence. The treaty was signed in the 43rd week. That night, alone in his quarters, he unbuckled the armor for the last time and set each piece carefully on the stand his attendant had prepared. He worked slowly. He had learned patience from the straps. When the last piece was down, he stood without it. He waited for the familiar contraction, the old collapse inward, the cold inventory of inadequacies. But it did not come. His spine held. His breath sat where it had been sitting for months, low, measured, unhurried. He stood in the lamplight and looked at the empty armor for a long time. Then he turned and walked to his desk and began reading the next report. He did not find courage in the crypts. He found weight, and the weight did something courage could not. It made the decision for him. It demanded a posture his character had not yet grown into, and held him there until the posture became the character. That is a different thing from becoming brave. That is more reliable. Most men have the sequence backwards. They believe the internal shift must come first, that a man must feel capable before he can act capable, that the spine straightens because the mind had resolved something. But it does not work that way. The body is not the last thing that changes. it is the first. When Edric buckled that armor into place, nothing in him had been resolved. The fear was intact. The doubt was intact. The armor did not address any of it. What the armor did was much simpler. It made collapse structurally inconvenient. To stay upright under that weight, a man commits his whole frame, spine long, shoulders back, breath from the chest's floor. The armor did not ask Edric whether he was ready. It applied load and waited. The body responded because bodies respond to load. A man who borrows a posture before he has earned it is not pretending. He is training. Pretending requires an audience and collapses when the audience leaves. Training requires only consistency. It does not collapse when no one is watching. The borrowed shape did the work, and the man grew into it later. There is a moment in any act of deliberate imitation where the gap is most visible. The unfamiliar pose feels theatrical. The squared shoulders feel like a costume. A man can feel the distance between what he is doing and what he is. That gap is not failure. That gap is where the change happens. Edric felt it in the first council session. The voice the armor required was not his voice. He spoke from it anyway, because the armor had removed the alternative. He could not slouch in that weight and be heard. He met the standard, and then met it again. And then it was no longer a standard he was meeting from the outside. It was a standard he held from the inside. This is how repetition works, not through inspiration, but through accumulated physical fact the body rehearsed into a new normal until the new normal stops feeling borrowed. A man does not need to understand a posture to carry it. He just needs to carry it long enough. The understanding arrives after the repetition has already done its work. It is the explanation of something that has already happened. Most men wait for the explanation before they begin. They are waiting for the wrong thing. When Edric removed the armor for the last time, he waited for the return of the old architecture. The familiar inward pull, the posture of a man who has not yet decided whether he belongs where he is standing. It did not come. The body had been rewritten, not by understanding, not by resolution of the original fear, but by repetition, by load, by the simple, unglamorous fact of having stood a particular way, under a particular weight, enough times. A script installed by circumstance can be replaced by a script held deliberately. The mechanism is identical. The difference is that this time, the man is the one deciding what gets repeated. He does not need to feel it working. He just needs to keep carrying it. That is the whole of it.